Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful, beautiful individual. Today, I would like to speak about how the sense perceptible, the physical, material sense perceptible, is an entrance into the spiritual world. Of course, one will actually have to use, when we perceive with our senses, we will have to use an active living type of imagination. So when you observe, let's say birds, let's say animals, or even plants unfolding its form and shape and coloring, and also the behavior of it stretching towards the sun and so on and so forth, and observing in animals constant influxes of instinct flowing down its spine, clairvoyantly speaking, of course, and also finding out what is separate in relation to that when it comes to the human being. The truth is, the human being you cannot find out in nature. You cannot find it in the animal kingdom, the mineral, or the plant kingdom. You just can't. Because the human being is our spirit, our I am. There is not an animal on this planet that can say I am to itself and be conscious about it and make a free choice. And at the same time hold and stick to morality. That means understanding, comprehension, and going outside familial, and tribal, and blood-tied love, and actually being able to stand in another human being's shoes without having to feel compelled to do so because you feel you owe something to someone or something like that, like a responsibility that, well, no one follows today. just to be clear about that. Of course, we do have certain cultures that are obsessed with doing things for the group, doing things for community, but no one trusts anyone, so it doesn't really help whatsoever. It is the constant bickering, there are constant blocking. Now, by you enlivening your imagination so you can see a plant and see all its vibrant and sublime forces building it up, one can, in a sense, say that it is the offspring of earlier higher beings. And these earlier higher beings have over time manifested to a physical point with some of their being. But we only see the physical part of them. But you cannot see their whole being as such. But you can see the effects. So when you observe certain things happening, occurring in real time out in sense perceptible, you can get imaginary glimpses, not imaginative glimpses. You use your imagination to get real, truthful insights into reality. So when you see something occurring, you find spiritual forces making it happen. Well, as an example, instead of using deadpan concepts that is abstract, theoretical, and downright sometimes silly, because how we see the world, how we perceive reality is how we live. It is in direct relation to that. So if you are deathly afraid of dying, or immensely afraid of getting hurt or anything like that, you will not be able to live, because you will be so afraid of these things happening, you will avoid life like the plague. That was just an extreme example, but you get my point there. So when you get to know what lies behind this sense-perceptible, reasonable, rational, material reality, you will quickly put aside that there is only physical matter. Because, not even materialistic science can truly justify what they themselves say. They observe happenings, write it down, And then they come up with all kinds of concepts around it. But in the end, it has no life. No life, no spirit, nothing. It is dead. It has nothing. You see? This is the huge difference between the spiritual and the material. But they both belong to each other because the material is spiritual facts. So physical, sense-perceptible, material situations is spiritual facts. And that is what we should awaken ourselves to, enliven ourselves to, and become awake. Observing, listening, sensing. But we start sensing from the heart, from the middleman too. And also start sensing our emotions and our will playing within our emotions and in our thoughts. So when you are thinking, there is an underlying current of will in your thinking. You understand where I'm coming from here. You will have to use your will to think with, to observe. That is your will. So when you will to observe, you are observing yourself willingly with your thoughts. But both emotion and will play within our thoughts, just as thought and will play within our emotions, and thought and emotion play within our will. They all are constantly playing. Everything occurs at the same time, here and now. And it is about how awake and perceptive, conscious, and insightful. That means you will have to study and come to terms with all spiritual life, all spiritual entities around us, everything, and truly set them in concrete places so that it do not confuse, it does not, I wonder if it is like that. Who knows? That's lukewarm. You won't get anywhere. That is what it means by being lukewarm. Not hot, not cold, lukewarm in everything up in the air. No, one needs to have confidence to stand for something. For if we do not, you will end up being devoured by the world. You will be crushed by the outer world. At the same time, one should not become self-egocentric and fully and utterly obsessed with oneself. Egoism. Because that means you will lose yourself isolate yourself away from the world. It is that perfect balance between world necessity and inner freedom. And we don't belong in any of those. We are in that gray space. Because we have both necessity and freedom and morality. Morality has to be done in freedom today. If you do not see it outside, do it yourself. Don't ask anyone else for the changes you wish to see in the world. You become that change. And you need to have the inner willpower, strength, foundation, and understanding to stick to them, to hold to these values, That is what is required of us today. That is what is asked of us today from the spiritual world. To go and meet them. They will never come down to us again, ever. We have fallen so low into materialistic, physical, natural necessities that they will never come down and degrade themselves to become materialistic concepts like that. We will have to lift up the material, sense-perceptible reality up to the spiritual again, you see? And that requires your imagination, willpower, comprehension, and ability to understand and comprehend spiritual truths. And even though that person do not know spiritual truths, he cannot say, hey, just because I cannot see into the spiritual world, into the beyond the threshold, that means it doesn't exist. Does that really make sense? It's like a blind person trying to judge a picture. He cannot, he has never seen it. So how can you have an opinion on it, right? Everyone can have 2 cents, but 2 cents isn't worth shice today. It really isn't. One needs to have concrete, real experiences, understanding, and a sense for truth, you know? And I will leave you with this today, I think. Sometimes being a little harsh comes in the picture, but seriously, sometimes waking people up, waking the world up to reality and to inner spiritual life, sometimes is very, not violent, but it is a rude awakening, one can call it that. And it is all about having that courage, you know? For if we are intent on sticking to what's old, sticking to what we have constantly been doing all these years, we are in a decadent, downward spiral of development. By inviting life, consciousness, awakeness, and will into your being, you come into a new spiritual up curve. But this up curve takes time. You need to build the foundations, study, and creating these inner strengths. Of course, there are a lot of things we still do not know yet, and we'll have to fill in these holes, hole by hole, step by step. And it takes time. It takes lifetimes. But that is the joy of it. Realizing reincarnation, realizing this immensely, enormously huge development we're in. Cosmic. Universal, spiritual, cosmic development. And we are but in one step of development right now. And we still have a lot to go. Eternal to go, if we are to be really heavy about it. But that is the case. So, enliven yourself, awaken yourself. Study. You have the capability and inner faculties to judge for yourself what is true and what is not. Don't listen to others, find out for yourself. Experience, explore, be curious. And that is when you will find what you're looking for. But don't try to look for specific things. Be open. Very open about it. At the same time, hold our preferences and biases for materialism, comfort, personal gains, and egotism out of it. Now that is also a conscious practice. It is intention, you know. And I will leave you with this today. May Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, my God, ancient masters of all, ancestors from every incarnation, the Godhead, seraphim, cherubim, thrones, kyriadetes, dynamis, exousiae, archangels, archangels and angels, bless, protect, guide, and love you, and may you be provided for, and may you have what you need to be surviving, living, thriving, and be inspiring to others, and inspire yourself. And may you be strong within your inner being, and may you hold to the good, the true, the beautiful, love, warmth, compassion, understanding, allowing space, holding this spiritual love consciously within our being. Thank you. Love you so much. Goodbye. See you after the weekend.